Hi there, friend. You're listening to Season 1, Episode 11 of the Cowgirl Confessions podcast. It's an exciting time in the sport of rodeo as well as the Cowgirls Breakaway roping. We just watched history be made during the National Finals Rodeo when they held the Cowgirls Breakaway roping in conjunction with that during the day in the same arena at Globe Life Field in Arlington. Jackie Hobbs Crawford walked away as the world champion breakaway roper. And it has just been so incredible to watch how far the Cowgirls breakaway roping has come just in the past decade. But women from all over the U.S., all over the world for that matter, in different places, they've had this yearning to be able to compete on a national stage in the breakaway roping. And there have been so many stock contractors, rodeo committees, secretaries, producers, contestants, sponsors alike that have worked extremely hard to be a voice and bring some exposure to the Cowgirls breakaway roping. So it's so refreshing to see more and more exposure being brought to this sport. On this episode, we're actually going to visit with cowgirl Chelsey Abernathy of Athens, Alabama. You guys, she is ranked #1 in the world standings for the International Professional Rodeo Association's Cowgirls Breakaway Roping. I have a special place in my heart for the IPRA. I've worked with them it's been almost a decade ago now, trying to get the Cowgirls Breakaway Roping as an approved event at the IFR, and to watch a fellow friend of mine from Alabama be ranked #1 in the world heading into her very first IFR as a rookie is just an extremely awesome feeling. I'm so proud of her and can't wait for you guys to hear her story on what the rodeo trail in 2020 has looked like and just how genuine and appreciative she is of the opportunity she's been given. With that said, there are many cowboys and cowgirls just like Chelsey that are going to be competing for those world titles at IFR 51 in January 2021. This is going to take place in Guthrie, Oklahoma at the Lazy E. It's a great family-friendly event. For more information on how you can get tickets or be part of that event, please visit www.iprarodeo.com or follow them on Facebook and Instagram at International Professional Rodeo Association. Hey y'all, and welcome. You're listening to the Cowgirl Confessions podcast. I'm your host, Dakota Dawn Johnson, small-town cowgirl with southern roots, blazing a trail as a Midwest ranch wife, mama, and businesswoman. The mission of Cowgirl Confessions is to share the wonderfully wild and western life stories of cowgirls from all walks of life. We'll talk about the highs, the lows, and everything in between when it comes to navigating careers, cowboys, kids, and cattle. Legendary cowgirl Dale Evans said it best: "Cowgirl is a pioneer spirit, a special brand of American courage. The cowgirl faces life head-on, lives by her own lights, and makes no excuses. Cowgirls take stands. They speak up. They defend the things they hold dear. A cowgirl might be a rancher, a barrel racer, a bull rider, or an actress, but she's just as likely to be a checker at the local Winn-Dixie, a full-time mother, a banker, an attorney, or an astronaut. If you're into wet saddle blankets, talks with God, buckets full of laughter, and the life lessons learned in the process, kick off your boots and settle in. I pray these stories encourage, empower, and give you just the leg up you need. Here's to embracing the cowgirl state of mind, no matter how wild and western life may get along the way." Chelsey, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast today. I have been really looking forward to getting to record this episode with you and just catch up on what in the world is going on for you. I've been seeing your face a lot on social media, a lot happening with the breakaway roping and you. But just thanks for being here today and what's been going on?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I'm so glad to be on here. It has definitely been a different world for me recently. I'm not used to all this attention, but it's definitely been a lot of fun. I've been roping a lot, and I've had a lot of luck recently, and everything's kind of gone my way, and it's been really fun.
Well, okay. So for those of you who are listening that maybe you haven't had a chance to, meet Chelsey or don't know kind of what we're talking about, 2020 has been an outstanding year in the arena for Chelsey Abernathy. And, she is heading into the International Finals Rodeo for 2021 right now, leading the Cowgirls Breakaway roping. She's a WCRA champion in 2020. Just you have had a ton of success this year, Chelsey. So let's talk about what your preparation for 2020 even looked like, and kind of the plans you had for this year, and then how that's worked out for you so far.
So I definitely did not expect for 2020 to go this way, especially when all the rodeos and stuff shut down. But I had bought this horse for my brother and his wife. I bought it in January. Her name's Lil Kim. And I told him when I got this horse, I was like, I really think this horse is going to be a game changer for me. I really want to start entering some big ropings and just see what I can do. Because I really didn't have the most confidence when it came to my roping. I just kind of thought I'd go out there and I thought I might get some round money or something like that. But I just started roping a lot. I really roped the dummy a good bit, especially during quarantine. That's really all we could do. And my main goal was just I wanted to get with this horse. I wanted to get with this horse. And yeah, after I got on her, I rode her at a roping last year. And I told my brother, I was like, I need this horse. So I knew that she was really going to help me get there. And she has. I owe everything that's happened to that horse because she's been a total game changer in my roping for sure.
And you had mentioned to me before, it's kind of just a neat story on little Kim. You bought her from your brother, but she's out of a bulldog and horse that he bought, and you don't really even know how she's bred. Is that right?
No, she's great. We actually raised her up. My brother roped on her and raised her. When he bought the horse, he had no idea that this horse was pregnant. And a few months later, out pops this gray horse. And she's a headstrong thing. She's definitely had her ups and downs. And it took a lot of begging for me to get this horse. My sister-in-law did not want to give her up. But after a lot of begging, she finally did. And I'm so thankful that he bought that bulldog and horse when he did. Because I love that horse with so much.
Yeah, way to go, Bobby. He done good.
The one thing you did right.
Big brothers are known to do that every once in a while. They'll get something right there. So I just love that story. And man, what a difference when you have the right kind of horsepower underneath you. And it truly is. I mean, it's teamwork. And you guys, without a doubt, are a great team. I would just really enjoy it if you could tell us more about the WCRA, kind of what it is for those that are listening that aren't as familiar with it, and the event that you won in Guthrie, Oklahoma this year.
So yeah, I didn't really know much about the WCRA. My brother actually kept telling me, like, you need to nominate. And then I saw where the IRA was allowing you to count some of the money for it. So the WCRA, how it works is if you enter a barrel race and if you enter a breakaway roping, a rodeo, whatever, you just pay it's almost like an extra entry fee. And you just go to this rodeo entry tool and you nominate it. So when you do that, if anytime you win in the money, it doesn't matter if you place in a round, if you place in the average, the 2D, 3D, it doesn't matter how it works. You get points for when you win money. And so you get on this thing called the leaderboard, and they have 1 through 64. And if you're in that leaderboard, then you get to go rope at these things. So the one I went to was in Guthrie. So I actually entered on the leaderboard and I entered on the open side. So I had 2 ways to get through. And the way it works is the 64 that are on that leaderboard, they rope against each other. And then everybody that entered the roping, like the open roping, you rope against each other. And then they take back the top 16 on each side. And when you get down to that, you have a clean slate when you get to that top 16. And then it's just the fastest time gets through. And they took 4 on each side from the leaderboard. There was 4 on each side from the open side, and they take a youth girl and they took the number 1 person on the leaderboard automatically gets through. But yeah, it was a great opportunity. I had really no idea what I was getting into when I went out there, but it's something that anybody can do. It doesn't matter if you're a young girl, if you're older, it's for everybody. And I encourage everyone to look into it. I call the WCRA people 2 to 3 times a week and ask them questions. They are so helpful, and they really are. They're for the sport of rodeo as a whole.
That is just so interesting and also encouraging. Like you said, it doesn't matter if you're young, if you're, feeling like you're older and maybe you were on your way out to pasture, like this is a game changer for the sport of rodeo and women, cowgirls specifically. And my favorite part of watching just the coverage of you winning that event, you were so humble, Chelsey, but you didn't try to hide your excitement either. Like you were genuinely just thrilled, as I would think any of us would be, to be in that position. And you didn't try to like play it cool, like it wasn't a big deal. And I just so appreciate that, because it is a big deal. And it was just good to see that, even coming from a fierce competitor like yourself.
Oh, I would definitely not try to hide that. That was a big accomplishment for me, and I was pumped up about it. I had no idea that it would go that way. Actually, they called me before I got, like, when I was going into the big thing, and they were like, you can nominate. If you win this, then you automatically get into the world championship. And I told Paige, I was like, I'm not going to nominate. Like, I'm not going to win this thing. Like, I was just like, I just want to go in there and just rope. And now looking back, I'm like kicking myself in the teeth for not nominating, but it was an awesome experience. Like, I really do. And I encourage everybody. And I still, any person I see, I'm like, you need to nominate. You need to nominate. Like, everybody needs to just go out there and rope against those girls, because really, it doesn't matter where you come from. When you rope against that much competition, something's going to come out of you and you're just going to want to win. You're going to get hungry, and it makes you better. Like, I enjoyed roping against that much competition.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true. You're like the 5 people you surround yourself with the most, and that goes for anything, even if it's in a short, maybe smaller setting, time wise, like a roping or something like that. It's really, you're going to rise to the occasion when you put yourself in those situations, and you absolutely did that, and just so exciting. And let's back up for a minute, Chelsey, so that we can kind of talk through. You said that you could nominate. You could count some of those winnings towards the International Professional Rodeo Association standings. And so you're leading the world standings in the breakaway roping for the IFR, and that'll be held in January 2021. How did all that work? Was it a difficult process? Like, can you give us a little more of the details behind that?
So when I found out that you can count up to 10,000 that you win in the WCRA into your IFR standings. And I bought my rookie card this year for the IFR. And I'm not going to lie, when that information first came out, I was completely discouraged, because I knew that, you had Kelsey Chase buying her card, Jackie Crawford, and those are big names, and I'm just over here. I just wanted to win Rookie of the Year. That was my goal. And, but it all worked out. But you can count up to the 10,000. And then the rest of that was just like going to rodeos and things like that. And I really didn't start off my year like, that hot. It was kind of when I went to the WCRA, that's really when I started getting my horse. And that's when everything's kind of started clicking, and everything's just played out. And I'm very blessed and thankful to be in that number 1 position. But I have Kelsey Chase right on my heels. So we're just trying to hold that number 1 as long as we can.
Yeah, it's just so awesome looking at those, world standings for the IPRA, and just seeing the amount of money that has been won, even for the women competing that maybe haven't been going to the WCRAs and winning money that way. It's changed so much over the course of the past 9 years, since it became an official event at the IFR. It's just, man, I'm excited to see where the sport of breakaway roping is heading. And tell me now, when you're not breakaway roping, let's talk a little bit about what you're doing, as your full-time job and things you enjoy outside of breakaway roping a little bit.
So I own a boutique with my mom right now. She's always had like a lighting store and a gift shop. And about 2 years ago, she's like, what do you think about bringing clothes in here? And I was like, oh, for sure. Like, I've always wanted to do this. Like, I love clothes. I just think it's a way to express yourself. So I've been doing that, but I'm actually working on, I just got my government background clearance. So I'm about to be leaving that. I'm going to be working a government job. So that's going to be quite different. So we're going to see how that goes. I'll still be doing the boutique thing on the side. But yeah, that's definitely going to be really different.
Yeah, well, I have no doubt you will, you'll just step into that and give it your all, just like you do everything else. But I love following your boutique on Instagram. You'll have some super cute clothes and all. So let's talk a little bit about that background, because it's very different. Well, I guess this is a loaded question. Let's talk a little bit about the boutique, but also kind of like what you went to school for, got your degrees in, and then how it all kind of came back to what you've been doing, roping, running the boutique. Yeah, just let's talk about all that.
Well, I majored in accounting, and then so I went to the University of Alabama until my junior year, and I finished my junior year there. And I just kept telling my mom, I was like, I want to move home, like I want to start roping. And I even because my brother's always done it, my dad, like I've always grown up around it, and I was like, I really want to start roping. So I actually moved home for my senior year, and I did my online for my senior year in accounting at UAB. And then I actually got a rodeo scholarship to rodeo at West Alabama. My boyfriend, Andrew Burks, he actually kind of got me set up and helped me go there. So we both went there, and I got my MBA. And now I do the boutique thing, which is not really what I expected to do. Like I tried the accounting thing. I just wasn't interested in it. And I just was engulfed with I just wanted to go rope. And obviously with accounting, it wasn't working the way that I wanted to be able to go rodeo. But yeah, pretty much everything I had lined up that I wanted to go live in Nashville or Atlanta. I was going to work in a big accounting firm. I had all my interviews, I had it lined up to go that way. And I met me a cowboy, and I put a rope on my hand, and I decided that was not the life that I wanted to live. So we just took the world and turned it upside down.
Oh, but look, I mean, it's just so awesome though to see where, we make choices every single day. And the fact that you pretty much made a choice to go that unconventional route or something different than what this big plan you had. And man, what a blessing it's been for you. And now on the side of getting your MBA, let's talk about just how you go about doing that. And, having, since you did transfer in there and you were a senior and then going and getting your MBA, what was that like trying to college rodeo? How many cards did you get? How did all that work?
So I only got to use my master's card because the way I understood it is once you had started your master's, you couldn't go back and do your any more undergrad things. So I just did my 1 year for my master's. And even though I had never used any of the other ones, I just went straight to that. So I just college rodeoed for a year, and then I had to go for one more semester after that, just for the schooling part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I got to do it, and it really wasn't. I did mine all online, so I didn't actually live at the campus. And the people at West Alabama, they were very accommodating, and I loved it. College rodeoing, it was definitely different because I only do one event, so it's you were there all weekend just for that one event, but it was fun. I got to meet a lot of people. Actually, I rodeoed with this girl, Ashley Brooks, when I was in junior high. And so when I went to college rodeo, and it got us back together. So I made some of my best friends doing that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, those friends that become rodeo family, that really is kind of what at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And I actually went to West Alabama my freshman year. I don't know if you knew that. And so go UWA Tigers. And I lived there in the dorm and everything, and really enjoyed my time there at UWA. And but just those relationships I made with people through college rodeo, I mean, those are still some of the ones now that it's maybe one day our kids are going to want to grow up in junior and high school, and we'll be the parents sitting at the college rodeos hoping everybody stays out of trouble, and we can have fun there as the parents. But so you had mentioned to me earlier, we were talking about people and superstitions and stuff like that whenever they're getting ready to compete. Let's talk about some of your superstitions.
I am very superstitious. If y'all did not notice in the WCRA, all my videos, I'm wearing the same exact pants and the same exact shirt. I did not change. I think I have this shirt, and I consider it my lucky shirt. I always have to say a prayer before I rope, and that's just a thing. Before I rope, that has to happen. And I can't get my rope out of my can until the very last second. I can't tie my string on to the very last second. I'm very superstitious. Everything has to kind of go the same way. And people know that I'm going to bring my can up there, and I'm not getting, especially if it's cold, my rope's going to come out right before everything has to be perfect and lined up.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with having a process. And, I think a lot of times too, those people that you're competing with, on a regular basis and stuff. It's really just fun to watch. And you get this respect, I feel like, that, hey, right before folks are getting a rope, everybody's a little bit different. Some people, they want to be chatty Cathy. Some people, they handle it by going and kind of getting by themselves, like you said, or praying, or they don't tie their ropes on to the last minute. And that's what's really, I've always appreciated that about rodeo, because you get to really dial into what's going to help you be your best competitor, and you get to embrace that. It's not like maybe a team sport where everybody's got to do a certain thing, right before, and they're all together. If you need to step away, you've got that time to do it, and kind of get in the zone to go out there and get the job done.
Yeah, and I like nobody judges you. Everyone knows they're there to do their job, and they all do their own thing. You're all trying to get the same goal, and they're just right there with you. I just think it's a really cool sport. I love it.
Yeah. Hey, what advice would you have for somebody who's interested in doing what you're doing, and trying to navigate or decide, like, well, I went to college for this, but I really want to rope, or I really want to, I want to pursue X, Y, Z, but maybe that's not what everybody else is doing. What advice would you have for them?
I would say just go for it. When I tell you, when I was at Alabama, I knew that I was not where I was supposed to be. I hate to say it, but I was miserable there. I would drive home on a Tuesday night, and my dad would have a horse saddled for me so I could rope, and I would drive back that Wednesday morning just because that's what I wanted to. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I'd come home that Tuesday night, leave Wednesday, come home that Thursday or Friday, and I'd rope all weekend long. Even if I was just roping the dummy, just swinging the rope. Like, I knew that's what I wanted to do, and I was just not going to let it stop me. So just do it and don't look back. I mean, there's some people that I lost that I don't really talk to as much from Alabama, but I gained people that are in my corner and are there for me 100%, that I know are always going to stick by my side now. So just go for what you want and don't look back. Everything works itself out, and God has you exactly where you're supposed to be.
Amen. Amen. He has the plan, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I'm constantly humbled when I try to plan stuff out, and he's like, "No, girl, come on, come over here, sister. Let's get you back on track. That's your plan, not my plan." So yeah, I just appreciate you sharing that, because I think it's easy to say sometimes, like, well, just go do it. But you just sharing that about you drove home on a Tuesday night, and you had to be back, to class the next day, and your parents are incredible people. You come from an awesome family, Chelsey. I've been, blessed enough to get to know them over the years. And is there anything that you could maybe share with us about just what it was like, maybe not being pressured to rodeo growing up? Because like you said, you were really into softball, and you didn't really get a rope in your hands till a little bit later. So what was that whole process like?
I roped my 1 year. I roped when I was younger. I roped when I was in 8th grade, and maybe like 2 rodeos my freshman year. And then I actually had a softball coach who pretty much told me I had to pick. And my parents were always very open. They just said, whatever makes you happy, you go do it. So I chose the softball route, and I played, all through high school and stuff like that. And then when I decided that I wanted to rodeo and move home from college, my mom was kind of like, oh my gosh, like, are you sure? Like, you've already been here. You don't want to just finish your senior year out. And then my dad was all for it. He loved it. This was kind of like our thing to do together, but they never pushed me or pressured me into anything. They gave their opinions, but overall they knew it was my decision, and they were going to be there for me no matter what. And they're just incredible. It's been awesome having them in my corner and helping me every step of the way. Just in every aspect of life. They've always, even when I played softball, they were always in my corner pushing me. They drove me everywhere, did everything. And when I first started, my dad was driving me all the rodeos. He was saddling my horse for me when I got home. I mean, my dad hasn't rodeoed in forever. And when I told him I wanted to come home, he entered like some Lone Stars with me, even though he could care less about going. But it was just the fact that he was trying to help me get into it and help me to be better and get it going. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, and then when you've got somebody else in the truck with you too, that you feel like they're in there trying to get a little piece of the pie as well, and just that overall kind of just the energy it creates, when you're there and trying to win. And I'm sitting here thinking back about the first time I ever met your parents. I showed up, had never met them before, and I needed somewhere to hook up. I had a little bitty trailer with a small living quarters in it. I was coming up to the Limestone Sheriff's Rodeo, and I was going to be there that week and competing in the Queen's pageant, and also entered in the breakaway roping that at the rodeo. And y'all were going to have the roping, that week, like you always did. And a friend of a friend knew your parents and had reached out and said, hey, they said you can hook up at their place, hook up your trailer and stuff. So I just roll in there, and I will never forget, like, your dad just walking up and just making me feel like he'd known me his whole life, showed me where the stalls were and stuff. And I just kind of camped out there for the next week, and just like the epitome of like what it really means to like feel like, you're super welcomed and rodeo family. And I see a lot of that like in you as well.
Yeah, my dad, he loves it. Like, that's the thing. We've always done those rope ends and stuff, and it's not necessarily to make the money or for him to get to rope. He just loves to see people get into the sport and be there. Like, he just loves to be surrounded by it. So he's one of a kind. I think my dad's awesome.
Yeah. Well, you had also mentioned before, when you and I were talking before we started recording, about how, Ashley Brooks, she's your best friend, and how she's really taught you the most about when it comes to being a cowgirl. Let's dive into a little bit more of what you meant by that.
And she was probably the fiercest competitor, like up and going down the road. She make vision boards. Like, she knew that she wanted to make the PCA finals. And when I tell you that girl at rodeo, I mean, it didn't matter if things were going good, going bad. She was going to keep entering. And, like, I remember me and Andrew, we'd get so mad, which, I mean, looking back, she was taking care of her horses and doing the right thing. But after every single rodeo, it didn't matter whether her horses worked their butt off or they just had an off night. She was going to mud their legs, she was going to take care of them and do everything just right. She put everything into the sport and just never gave up. She had her goals and she was going for them. And that's the same thing she taught me. The only reason I bought my IRA card this year was because she was going to buy it. And so that's really the only reason I really bought it. We were going to go together. But yeah, she was awesome.
Yeah, man, just so special having that, just having a friend that really encourages you and is a game changer for you like that. And I'm so proud that you stepped out and you bought your card, and just really, by you walking out, in your purpose and pursuing your dream, Chelsey, you're encouraging other women to do the same, other cowgirls everywhere that are going to get to listen to this and see you. Whether your name's on the leaderboard or not, you're definitely going to be setting an example for them. And that is awesome. I mean, now you with that big $12,500 check and gold buckle, that was awesome too. I mean, your smile from winning that WCRA was just absolutely incredible. But
I still don't think that smile is worn off. I still watch it and I'll still be smiling. Andrew's tired of hearing those videos play.
Oh man. So how did you and Andrew meet? Because you said that he's been really instrumental in helping you in the breakaway roping and just with your competitor mindset. So how did y'all meet and kind of what's your story?
Well, as crazy as this sounds, I told my brother, I said I kind of want a cowboy, that way he can help me rope and stuff. So he sees Andrew at a rodeo and he tells him, he's like, hey, like, I got a single sister. So it just kind of went from there, as creepy as that sounds. And my brother really didn't even know him that well. He just kind of knew he liked his horse and he thought he roped good. That's really all I knew about him. But from the time I met him, it just kind of took off. And he's been a key part in getting my roping to where it is. Like, he's out there with me. I come home every day from work pretty much, and I have a horse saddled, and he's there, and he's gonna critique me, and he's gonna nitpick me. Like, he's not easy on me, that's for sure. Some days he's like, I don't even know how you win. I mean, he picks me up too, but he's taught me a lot. I mean, he makes me rope the dummy, makes me do things right, and if anything ever starts to go south, we immediately fix it. And he's definitely been a crucial part in helping my roping. Like even when I was at the WCRA, he helped keep my mind like in the right way. After I made it into the big thing, I was on cloud nine. I was a little excited, and he was like, okay. In the middle of that week, he's like, it's time to focus. He's like, you got to get your mind right. And because he goes to all those pro rodeos, so he was kind of telling me his mental game. And I really do think he helped me keep my nerves calm that night. And he just helped me keep my head in the game. But he's been a huge part in my roping for sure.
It's so
Plus he drives me everywhere, so that helps too, because I'm not a nighttime driver.
Yes, on all accounts, he seems like the exact person you would want in your corner without a doubt. And I can relate to that realness you were talking about of like being in the practice pen, and it's so important to have somebody that's going to hold you accountable, because it's really easy when you're roping, by yourself and just maybe have somebody turning out. Because I was notorious at different parts of my life. I just need somebody to come turn out for me. And they weren't necessarily somebody that could coach me. But what I found a lot of times is that if I did that on a consistent basis, then it was really easy to get in some bad habits. And so it's so valuable having somebody like him, there in your corner watching you and just really kind of riding you, if you will, to not stay in those places. And whenever my husband now and I were dating, he was helping me roping, and I had been out for a spell, just really pursuing my career. And boy, we learned a lot about each other in the practice pen. Let me just say that we knew what we were getting into before we got married, and we'll still have some of those heated moments, but I just try to always remember, like, we're on the same team, and he wouldn't be investing the time or the effort into helping me be better if he didn't care about me. So even if it is kind of hard to hear sometimes.
Some days I just want to drag him out of that pen, but I know, like you say, that you're on the same team. He's just trying to make you better, but sometimes it's hard to hear when you don't want to hear
it. That's the truth. Oh man. Now you, not to keep going back to this, but I'm just really, really excited, for 2020 has been an awesome year for you in the arena. Gonna put you in position to head into the IFR in 2021. What do you kind of have on the agenda, to get you through? We're recording this podcast very end of October, with the goal that it's going to air in late December. So by the time people, hear this, it'll be a little bit later. But I just want to know kind of what you got going the next 60 days, and then really what are some goals you've set for 2021?
Yeah, so actually I got a call yesterday. I had no idea. I got into the rope for the crown. So
wow.
I have that coming up. I'm going to rope in the Southeast Mega, which is the roping that the bars put on. And then I'm going to enter the women's championship. So I have those three things coming up, and those are three pretty big things. So I have big goals. Obviously, I would like to be at the top of all of those, but realistically, I just want to go out there and do what I can on each cab given and hope that things go my way. So I'm going to be practicing a lot and working for those goals. And then, but yeah, those are pretty much my three big things. Obviously, I'll still be hitting some jackpots around the house and some rodeos, but those are my three big ones. The women's championship is definitely number one on my list right now of where I want to do good at, and my biggest goal right now.
Well, you've definitely got a lot on your plate for the rest of this year, and those are all super exciting. Thrilled that you got in at Rope for the Crown. And so you have little Kim, but
yes.
As far as, let's talk about maintenance for little Kim, and then do you have a backup horse or something else you could hop on if you needed to? What does all that look like?
Yeah, so I have a sorrel horse. He's my baby. I love him, Simba. He actually got me. I got him when I started roping. Again, my brother has actually been involved in every horse deal I've ever done. He found him for me, and I've rode him forever. He got me to the PCA finals both years that I've done it, and so I still have him, and I'll still definitely ride him. I'm getting him back in shape now. And then little Kim, obviously I still ride her all the time. but the main thing with her, I just keep her exercised. I roped on her about 2 times a week. I only run like 2 or 3 on her. She's not one that I can get a lot of runs on, where Simba's the complete opposite. If I wanted to run 10, I could run 10. If I wanted to run 1, I could run 1. He's going to give me the same trip every time. But yeah, I have both of those. And then Andrew doesn't know it, but I always have his as the backup too. So, but yeah, Simba's definitely been one of my main ones for a while. I love that horse. He's gotten a break since I got her, but he'll be coming back out pretty soon.
Yeah, that's awesome that you've got, a couple that you can, have handy, because it's inevitable when you're going up and down the road. Sometimes horses are just like people, they get tired. Sometimes they need breaks, and the breaks aren't always at opportune times. And so I'm glad to hear that you've got some other options that you can get on if you need to, and give little Kim that break if she needs one.
Oh yeah, and horsepower is so important. I'll say it over and over, but take care of your horses and just make sure you get along with them. I always knew horsepower was important, but man, this year I've just really noticed how important it truly is. I try to take care of them as best as I can.
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, they really kind of become family, they're not really animals anymore. They just are like another part of the family. And so
they cost just as much as a family member.
That's right. Oh, for sure. So Chelsey, with all that you have coming up, as far as traveling and getting ready for these, opportunities to rope, also headed into really prime time of selling season in retail for your boutique. So how are you kind of coordinating and working through all that to make sure all that's running, like it needs to back home?
Well, I still have to be there as much as I can. Even if I just pop in for a few hours, I just make sure that everything's set in stone. Because I mean, in the end, the way I go up and down the roads is working there and like getting obviously that's where I make my money at. So I'm in there all the time. I just went to market and loaded up for the holidays. So if any of y'all need some clothes, y'all can come follow our Instagram. I will gladly ship or deliver.
There you go.
But oh yeah, it's been a lot. We have turned that store upside down recently, but it's definitely been a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just, there's so much more to retail than what I feel like, anybody realizes until you're in it. And whether you're selling the goods or you're a store owner like yourself or a buyer or whatever you're doing, there's a lot that goes along with shirts and pants and jewelry and shoes, and a lot to do even just to market it once you get the goods to successfully sell through those. And I will definitely have to have you share where people can find your boutique online. And guys, she's got awesome stuff in there. I mean, every time I scroll down my Instagram, I'm like, oh, I want that. Oh, I want that. And your mom, just the fact that you kind of share that store space and the lighting and stuff too in that store is just like incredible.
The amount we have, honestly, like too much stuff in that store. It's insane. We have people walk in there and like, it just looks like a little old metal building. And then you walk in and there's just like stuff literally everywhere. And right now we're getting ready for Christmas. So we have all this Christmas decor that we're about to decorate. So our store has been, when I tell you it's been a mess, I mean, we got in 5 pallets, which to some people, if y'all don't know how much that is, it's a lot. And like that all came in the other day of that's solely just Christmas. So we have been overwhelmed with everything coming in. So we've been working a lot recently. So I'm hoping coming up with these ropings that it'll be a nice break to get away and just go rope for some money instead of having to price and put it all out.
Yeah. That, the receiving and making sure you got all the goods and getting them tagged and all that, that's just kind of part of the process that's not always a ton of fun.
No, and you really, like you said, you really don't realize what's all in retail till you get on it. I mean, just constantly moving things around, rearranging. Social media is such a big thing now, like getting it on social media. I mean, it's way more than what I ever imagined.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I've got one more question for you, and then we'll make sure everybody can kind of know where to find you and follow along with you on social media, Chelsey. Through all of this, what do you do to just stay mentally strong and keep that cowgirl state of mind to where you're pursuing your dreams with that all go and no woe mentality?
Man, I just give everything to God, honestly. Like, that's my biggest mentality. People ask me my mental game all the time. I don't really have a mental game. I just pray and I just know that everything's going to work out in the way that it's supposed to be and that I'm just following his plan. And I just want to do everything I can to give the glory to him and just take the path that I'm supposed to take. And that's really all I can say.
Well, it definitely looks and seems like that you're headed where he wants you to be. You came home and got a rope in your hand and you're out there and, pursuing your dreams, but also being able to share how God's working through your life, with a rope. And I think it's easy sometimes for us to feel like, well, that, God's just there Sunday mornings at church. But whenever you're given some opportunities like you are right now and you're giving the glory to him, it's awesome. There's nothing more important than that, Cowgirl.
Oh yeah. Well, it's all because of him, because I definitely wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for him.
Yeah. Well, Chelsey, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I've really enjoyed keeping up with you from afar. But I couldn't be more proud of a fellow Alabama cowgirl. And tell everybody where they can connect with you to follow along with what all you're doing, when you're roping, as well as be able to come shop at the boutique.
So yeah, I mainly post on Instagram. It's just at Chelsey Abernathy, and it's CHELSEY, not the A, as a lot of people like to think. And then my boutique, it's at Shealeigh's Boutique, which is SHEALEIGHS Boutique. And but yeah, I need to post more about my roping. I'm not very good at posting on my roping videos. I'll try to get better.
Well, when you win big things, they just post them for you.
That week was surreal. I was getting all these messages and things shared about me, and I told Andrew, I was like, I'm not used to this. I was like, this is crazy.
Well, it was well deserved. So Chelsey, thanks again. You take care, girl. Take care of little Kim and Simba, and we'll enjoy just keeping up with you.
Thank you so much for having me today.
You bet.
Thank you for spending your time with me on the Cowgirl Confessions podcast. I'm so glad y'all stopped by. If you could take a moment to share this episode and tag us on social media, I'd be happier than a cowgirl in a sea of buy one, get one vintage turquoise. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss an episode. New episodes will be released bi-monthly. Please leave us a review if you feel so led by going to iTunes. Your feedback will really help us breed the idea of grabbing life by the horns with a cowgirl state of mind into women across the globe. Some that may have never even had the privilege to throw their leg over a horse, but could most certainly use the cowgirl state of mind while navigating life. Thanks again, y'all. Until next time, keep pursuing your dreams with that all go and no woe mentality. Remember, you're writing a story that's worth saddling up for, sister.